Hey there, beloved pioneers. Another beautiful day. Every day is a cycle within itself. So my video today is about these cosmic events. I rather call them cosmic cycles. And where's your focus? So where is your focus? Like I always say, creation is complex, but truth is simple. And there's a difference between the soul's truth and universal truths, which are the so-called soul, not soul, source principles of life, creation principles, universal principles. And many people might ask themselves, the differences between the two. And of course, one is intertwined within the other because we all exist eternally within this creation. Why I decided to do this video is because oftentimes I've been asked these questions to answer something about, to provide answers for where is this ascension timeline, when this is happening. I've been provoked last year by this person, then again by another, and now again there's this person asking me these questions and saying how difficult it is for them not to know this, while they still operate within the fear consciousness. And this is where most people miss the point of the ascension. It's not an event, it's not a thing, it's not a cosmic event. It's not a one thing that happens and then you either go with it or you don't, or you're doomed, or you're saved. And there is no such thing as a savior. There is no such thing as the second coming of some savior or guru or this galactic being or beings that will save us. But what ascension is, like I used to say, and I always say, is our eternal spiraling within the spiral of spirit. It's an eternal ongoing journey within the multidimensional aspects of ourselves, all these extensions of the Mother, Father, Source, the eternal polarization within the neutral energy of all, the consciousness of all, the living matrix of all living things. So those people who still ask themselves these questions are clearly missing the point. And, whether you're still putting your focus out there somewhere, thinking that some event will save you, that it will bring something to you, that will bring something into awareness. It's not like that at all, because ascension is an inner journey. It's what most people who follow these random videos about what's going to happen in 2012, towards the end of the year, on the winter solstice, and then in 2013, and so on. And, these galactic cycles they're eternal. They're ongoing. They're cycles within the cycles within the cycles of time. And a soul, which is on its own individual journey within those cycles, will always journey where it needs to journey for its chosen development of spiritual growth. So there's no such thing as you go somewhere, and then in that place, when these galactic alignments come, you either ascend or you don't. There's no such thing. Because there's variety of multitudes of worlds and realms and realities where we can co-create within those existences. So it's not so limited, it's not so limiting. And what we do when we ask ourselves these questions, when we put our focus externally, we limit ourselves so much. I have this person asking me what is the truth? Is it the truth that there is no ascension timeline, or whether this ascension timeline is the 21st of December? Nothing major will happen on that day. It is already happening. And this is the energy wave that we are all riding right now. It's the new energies that are permeating the whole realm. And you have to remember, you either go with the flow or you don't. But either way, you're still on your own path. You're not separate from the whole unfolding anyway. You might choose to play a different game. Someone else is choosing to play another game. That's why a lot of us are not provoked by these galactic gurus and prophecies anymore, because we know it's not about that. We know it's about an inner journey. It's about embracing our own wholeness, totality, embracing all aspects of ourselves in order to become neutral, in order to embody the Christ light here on earth. And we're not provoked by those things anymore. Of course, we feel compassion for others. I had this person telling me today, you don't understand how hard it is for me because of my situation at home. And there was this great victim consciousness pouring out of those words. It's like, it's typical victim consciousness when you see things from a higher perspective and you will give neutral guidance to someone and they will try to pull you downwards with them and say, you don't understand me. It's so hard for me. You don't know how it is. You know what? We've all been there, been that. Maybe we weren't, but it's all how we chose within our soul journey. We cannot compare ourselves. I always say comparison leads to dissatisfaction. It leads to forgetfulness. You forget who you are as divine love. Comparison brings to judgment. It brings to so many things that are not within who we truly are as divine love, source beings. So this victim consciousness will only bring you further away from your true self with a capital S, because when there's someone who has this higher awareness, they will have compassion for you and they will see where you're coming from, but they won't fall there with you. That means to be non-attached to something or someone. You will feel compassion, but you know that you cannot save anyone. That's why there is no outer gurus or saviors when we are truly on our own inner ascension path and timeline. Because these timelines always exist eternally within us. There's no such thing as one timeline. We keep choosing them. Like there's no such thing as faith. You know, you choose this and then that's it. And then you follow it along in this lifetime. There's always multitudes of possibilities, varieties of options that you get to choose. And that's the beauty of free will. But you know, I've been reading about this. There were these two people, like a couple who does lectures also here in Slovenia, and the man channels Damos Saint Germain. And Saint Germain apparently, I mean, you know what I feel about channeling, but it doesn't matter where it came from. It's about the message. It's about the message that was given, that people don't even have the free will. And this is what I've been talking about in one of my videos early, I think, in this year. And not a lot of people agreed with me because they don't understand this. People say, oh, we have free will. Yes, we have free soul will. But in this world, when we come in this polarity world on Earth, which is very dense realm, we give our power to others. So we don't basically have this free will anymore. So that was given in that message. It was said people don't have free will because long time ago they've given it to someone else. So for me, basically ascension first is awakening to what is truly going on. Then second, freeing yourself in all the areas and aspects of your being where you still have been giving your power away to others. You know, I've been guiding someone as well who has been asking me about this, wanting to know my opinions. And, you know, the outcome is always different because it depends on the awareness of a certain person that I get to respond to, you know, whether they ask me something about ascension. And the person was very excited, and they did admit that they did give a lot of that power away to psychics and clairvoyants and so on, and they realized they have to seek within. And yesterday another sister asked me something about it. She already again gave herself the answer, and I did not repeat. I did not reply in the way that I would really say, yes, you know, you have got the answer, or no, you don't. I said, you have given it to yourself, you know. And how do you know? You observe how your heart feels when you give yourself the answer, when you think about a certain option. So you always have options. You get to choose. And whatever you choose is fine. So it's not about certain timeline, event, a date, a thing. That's so limiting because creation is endless. Do you see? There's not just this earth and period. And, you know, humans, we've become so limited in our thinking. And it's kind of, it gives me pain to feel that. I mean, compassionate feeling of that pain when I see how other people suffer. And it's so limiting. It's not just this one world and you get to do everything that you can. I believe that a lot of people feel this pressure because as souls, they chose to deal with a lot of karmic pressures that they have built upon themselves on their soul journeys, because people have traveled, I mean, as souls, we've traveled everywhere. So that when you're like in this personality body, you have a part of this remembrance. You remember some things. You might have this pressure, what all you need to do and what all you wanted to accomplish on a soul level. But then when you're here, you have that forgetfulness state, which is what you have to go through when you incarnate on Earth, and you forget, and you might get all anxious and, oh my God, what am I supposed to do now? And it's okay. Just feel compassion for yourself. Don't push yourself too much. You know, I used to push myself too. Maybe one day I still will, but we have to flow with life because there is just not this possibility, and if you don't grab a hold of it, then it's over for you. Then you have no other options. We always have options because the source, our beloved source of all, is not some limited being there watching us. It's the consciousness of all living things. It's the divine intelligence behind every single fraction of life, of creation. And when you observe nature, you see that. You see how intelligent everything is, how everything unfolds naturally. We don't have to control or govern it, although as humans we often did exactly that. This is why the planet is as it is right now. But you also have to understand everything is not so limiting. It's not like there's this thing you have to shift and period, because you need to understand also what is true here is that this is Gaia's shift. We've become too egocentric, thinking how to survive during this, whether there will be earthquakes or certain catastrophes that are not really natural disasters, but we call them like that because we have that affection through emotion, and we have to shift from emotion to feeling, which is compassion. Feeling is compassion. Feeling is being connected to your own inner awareness, and then feeling through that source center of yourself, not through that mindful observation that will feel fear when something is not the way you would want it. I don't want an earthquake where I live because then I will, have to change my life so much, so drastically, and I don't want that. This is very egotistical because you have to understand the whole solar system is shifting. There are new alignments which are causing certain rays of energies to beam into our solar system, and has already began. It's not like it's happening on the 21st of December. It's happening constantly, and you need to understand if we're coming from this dance perception, we will see that, for instance, the source, the Alcyon, the source within this universe, started beaming these rays of new enlightened energies, the divine remembrance, long, long time ago, if we look at it from this dance realm. But if we look at it from the non-time realm, of the eternal realms, it's not like that. Time doesn't exist there. So when I was asking myself these questions, for instance, why do I feel so different when I speak about these things than when most people speak about these shifts? Is because the answer was because you come from realms of unlimited time, the eternal realms of illuminated truth, and there all truth is one. So for you, all truth is simple. It's all one. It's not like, I don't resonate with these channels like Saint Germain, that master, that archangel. It's okay. I believe all those beings, because there's a variation of creation, so all those beings exist. But I come from realms, I understand the realms where all truth is one. It's not like Saint Germain possesses the truth and it's his, or Sananda, the being that was incarnated here, Jesus, possesses their own truth and it's theirs. No, these beings all come from a level of masterhood. It's the level of one truth. They all hold this truth, but their task, within this hierarchy, which is not lower, higher, better, worse, it's the hierarchy of doing different things to serve creation in a unique, individualized form. That's what it's about. So these beings all have that same truth, that truth of one. That's why I resonate with that, and that's why I'm here to share these truths, not certain aspects of how you're going through the shift or how another person is going through them, because we're all experiencing them individually. And even now, during this Venus transit, every one of us experienced the shifts individually, because our level of awareness is different. Our embodiment of light within ourselves is different. So we get to experience in a beautiful individual way. So what I might say to someone will not resonate because they're not ready yet, or I don't know, we're not racing. This is not a race. It's not like who's better, who's, who has a steadier pace or has a faster pace and who's almost at the finish line. It's not like that, because these timelines eternally exist within us all. And our journey is planting these beautiful seeds of light and love wherever we are, in whatever form of embodiment, whatever form and variation of creation. This is what it's about. Wherever we are to remember that we are love, and then to express that love in many forms and expressions. That's what it's about. It's not about this external focus on these events and whether the sun will explode and whether, I don't know, the earth will become a star and we'll all die and things like that. Even if that were to be true, we would not die because life is eternal. So we focus too much on, I want to hold to this physical body because I love this body so much. I'm not giving it away. Well, guess what? Remember yourself from the spirit realm where you can have any body that you want and you can create whatever you want. Huh? How cool is that? And then you come to this limited state where you want to grab hold of it. It's just so sad sometimes, to see how people forget, how forgetful they become when they come here on earth. And that is why I feel so guided to share this divine remembrance, how everything is so much more. It is so much grand, so grand, so beautiful in truth of creation, how every leaf, every flower, every aspect of creation has a story to share. And it's not an ending journey. We ascend, period. If those people truly were, if they found themselves in a situation like now we ascend, and they came to this state and they were focusing only in this ascending state, and they came there and what? Now what? You see, when you focus on a certain outcome, you will always come to a phase where you'll say, so now what? For instance, if you're a perfectionist, you want to get everything done perfectly. Once you do it, if you don't have the love for that creation, if you don't do it with love, you will just observe what you have created and you just say, so now what? So now what do I do? You see, it's about the journey. It's not about the destination. And many of us already know that. So remember, it is Gaia's shift. She is shifting in her new incarnation, in her new embodiment, in her new light. And whoever decides to go along with her and create with her on a new level of this experiencing, because souls who are to, flow along with Gaia will say, yes, Gaia, I really resonate with your vibration right now. It's what my soul needs for my further journey and development. And I'll share this journey along with you. And guess what? Gaia is in resonance and will support those beings, because we're a part of it. And Gaia's nature and we are nature because we're organic. This is what it is. This is what creation is about. This is what planetary life means. Celestial bodies. This is a consciousness that is manifested in a celestial form, and it provides life and experiences that certain souls want when they incarnate on this certain planet, which is a celestial consciousness. So it is about that. And whoever does not decide to go with Gaia will go somewhere else, because guess what? There's no such thing as heaven and hell in Gaia, this tiny little earth in between, and that's it. That's how religion has been teaching people there. Start reading books, for instance, if you're so not aware of this, like books from Dolores Cannon, and she always says that she likes to write about that, and her books are for people who like to have their mind bent as pretzels, and that's true. You have to think out of the box. You have to come out of that shell, which is saying, oh, there's only this tiny event, and if I don't manage to go through, I'm just going to commit suicide, or I'll die. I'll never become what others are becoming right now. I don't have the same options. Some people don't believe in options. We have all the options, every one of us. There's no such thing as victim in consciousness and being passive. We all have many options. I've also received this question about suffering. This woman wanted me to speak about suffering, whether we still have we can still have hopes for the better world. And guess what? You can suffer if your soul wants that experience, if your mind will drive you to that suffering. But guess what? For your further spiritual evolution and development, you don't have to suffer to experience and to become who you truly are. That was the way of the old. We believed souls, actually, they believed they have to suffer to learn lessons, but it's not like that. For instance, in higher realms, I won't say higher because so many people think that it's still, duality thinking, what's lower or what's higher. But in different realms of different experiential potential, we might not experience suffering because souls who incarnate there have moved, have transcended beyond that suffering. So if you believe in suffering, you will experience it, because our world is always a reflection of what is happening within us. I don't feel suffering. I have challenges, but these I call initiations of spirit, and they never cause me suffering. I don't suffer anymore. I used to suffer before I was not, awakening yet. And when I did not yet remember who I am, but that was my choice in order to remember. So if you think that you have remembered, but you still believe in suffering, you clearly are still awakening to that degree when you feel that it's all there is love and all there is bliss. And there's nothing else truly. But if you want to experience it, you will, because you are so powerful as a soul. Don't you see that? It's not that the world is so messed up, but you as a soul, you're so powerful. Look at what we have created in the collective, because we're so powerful. So many powerful beings gave their power away, and what we get is many powerful beings who now dominate and want to manipulate and control those who gave the power, because we're so powerful. So it's time for you to remember how powerful you are, not how passive or, without any potential you are for change. The world is not a dreadful place. Gaia is a beautiful being. She is shifting, and sometimes it can be challenging for her, for us who are going with her through this shift, and that's all there is. But, like I always say, she doesn't do it with emotion. She does it neutrally, and it's us humans who are affected by this. So during these cosmic cycles and events, where is your focus? I'll read something to you, which I read just now. I saw it when I logged into my Facebook page. Someone shared this. We have the unique opportunity to move from the deepest of density to the highest of frequencies. That is true. It's our own soul decision, where we shift from linear to multidimensional living. See, in the linear, there is such thing as perceiving something as an event. In multidimensional, you see that everything is unfolding always, and that these timelines are within you. To make this transition, we must face not only the limitations of our 3D world with its electronic manipulation and mind control, we must embrace our own wounds and those of our ancestors and leaders, to heal ourselves, to raise our frequency from one of despair and fear which causes suffering, to one of great inspiration and love. Then it also mentions the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians urge us to rethink and reevaluate our lives. You shall change, you will change, you must change, because this is the season of change. And in the galactic awareness, in the greater awareness, with a higher perception, there is nothing else but change, because change is the only constant there is anyway. We're always changing, we're always shifting, but we can only be responsible for our own shifts. They're happening within. So, as I say, there's not just mind awakening, there's not just awakening of the mind and awakening to what is happening now, the manipulation that is being mentioned in this article. There's also such thing as the awakening to the soul, to the self, to who you truly are. And that takes courage, that takes devotion, that takes you moving through these challenges and initiations of spirit and realizing that the focus should always be within. That's where this ascension process is unfolding, because you are ascension. It's not, our minds, what people have created, this complex, it's so dense, it's like it's not dense enough. We keep creating even more density with our thought patternings and our definitions of everything. These definitions just keep us more separate from who we truly are. And this year, 2012, is not just about the galactic alignments and just about linear events. It's about union. It's about reunion with ourself, our twin flame aspect within us, externally, if we are both incarnated here together. It's about that. It's about moving through this density, remembering union, and then embodying this union. And what is not of that union, what is not within oneness yet, will go. It's already going. It's saying goodbye. We are saying goodbye to it simultaneously, and we are transcending this and expanding our awareness. So Ascension, it's all about expanding this awareness. And we're love. Truth is simple. It's not complicated. Please don't complicate. But if you do, you have chosen so yourself. So don't blame others, okay? You get to choose. You are a responsible co-creator being, and you know what to do. You're always guided and always loved. For you are love. Take care. Bye.